We're digging up the first ever searcher shaft on Oak Island.
True.
Well, we think. That we know of. Yeah, that's right.
But the big goal is to get good, solid pieces of the shaft so we can do dendrochronology on it. That'll give us an excellent...
Lot 5 was the one place on Oak Island that nobody paid attention to. A dead zone. A nothing area so dull that even treasure hunters used it as a shortcut to get somewhere else. And then, in less than 6 seconds, everything changed. A researcher literally tripped over something sticking out of the ground. He brushed away the dirt, froze, and called for the others. What they uncovered wasn't gold. It wasn't a tunnel. It wasn't anything anyone had ever seen on Oak Island before. It was worse, much worse. It was the kind of discovery that makes historians uneasy, governments suddenly interested, and treasure hunters speak in hushed voices. Because whatever this thing is, it proves Oak Island wasn't just hiding treasure. It was hiding the wrong version of history. And the deeper they dug, the stranger it became. Stick with me, because by the end of this, you'll understand why experts are quietly calling it the most dangerous discovery the island has ever produced. And before we go further, hit that subscribe button, because this story is about to take an unexpected turn. All the excitement, drama, and mystery of Oak Island usually centers on one place, the money pit. That deep, dark hole that has swallowed fortunes and dreams for over 200 years. But here's the twist. The real answer might have been sitting right under the surface, nearly half a mile to the west, the whole time. We're talking about Lot 5. And what the team just found there isn't just another coin. Once it reaches the lab, they'll scan it, test it, maybe even identify the caliber. But one thing is clear, it's a game changer. So here's what happened. Metal detection expert Gary Drayton and Peter Fornetti were working with the archaeology team led by Fiona. They were examining the large, mysterious stone foundation near the shoreline, specifically sifting through the spoil piles, the soil dug up last year from that strange round feature. But Gary wasn't just checking old dirt. He was also scanning the untouched ground around it. And here's the important part. The Nova Scotia government declared this section of Lot 5 a protected archaeological zone back in 2024. That means Gary and Peter can't just dig whenever they want. If they get a hit, they have to stop and bring in the archaeologists. This isn't a treasure hunt anymore. It's a controlled excavation. Almost immediately, Gary got a signal. Not in the spoil pile, but in undisturbed soil. Fiona came over and carefully excavated. What she uncovered was tiny but meaningful. A small, flattened piece of lead shot. A lone bullet may not seem exciting, but most people don't realize that this fits perfectly with other gun-related artifacts discovered on Lot 5, like musket balls and a rifle ramrod guide. The more they examined it, the more it resembled another weapon component. These objects date back to the 1600s, more than a century before the money pit story even began. Someone was on this lot, armed, long before the legend started, and that was just the beginning. Gary got another hit, this time iron. It appeared to be part of a door hinge, or maybe a piece of a locking mechanism. Another major clue hiding in plain sight. If people were living or working here in the 17th century, they had things worth locking up. They weren't camping, they were protecting something. Then came the moment everything shifted. Gary received a screamer, a loud, high-pitched signal indicating a large metal object buried deep. Fiona rushed in and began a careful, delicate dig. They were well into what Gary jokingly called worm tickler territory, about 10 inches down. As Fiona brushed away the soil, she suddenly stopped. She had found more than just metal. She saw glass. This wasn't modern clear glass. Fiona had uncovered old green glass. "Wow," she said. "This is different from anything else we've found." She pointed out the ridges on its surface. "See these striations? That means it's a wound bead." A wound bead is made using a different technique than the Venetian beads they had previously discovered. Instead of stretching a long strand of glass and cutting it into pieces, wound beads were created by wrapping molten glass around a rod. Then Fiona noticed another artifact, a rough, ancient piece of earthenware pottery. And right beside it was the heavy iron object that had triggered Gary's metal detector in the first place. This wasn't a random scattering of junk. It was a carefully concentrated cluster. Fiona made the call immediately. Stop digging. The reason was clear. When an archaeologist finds several different types of artifacts from the same period, all packed into one small, undisturbed pocket of soil, it's not garbage. It's a feature. It could be part of a foundation, the remains of a small storage pit, or even a section of a structure nobody knew existed. And the most jaw-dropping detail? This cluster of pottery, glass and iron was discovered just 4 feet away from where the team had previously found the starburst and spiral buttons. The same artifacts believed to possibly connect Oak Island to the Knights Templar. This wasn't just another find. It was a preserved moment in time, pointing directly toward the island's oldest and most carefully hidden secret. But this new set of artifacts wasn't discovered in just any random patch of woods. It appeared right beside something far more mysterious, the shadow of the angel's darkest secret. To understand why this matters so much, you have to know the original story from the Book of Enoch. Even in its basic form, the tale is astonishing. According to it, 200 Watcher angels descended onto Mount Hermon, led by an angel named Shemisa, or Siasa, depending on the translation. They became infatuated with human women. That was their first great sin. They bound themselves together under oath, swearing mutual curses if any of them backed out. They descended, took human women as partners, and the women bore their offspring, giants, the Nephilim, said to reach up to 450 feet in height. These giants devoured all the food humans could produce. When that wasn't enough, they turned to devouring humans themselves. But the story gets darker. The Book of Enoch says the Watchers gave humanity forbidden knowledge. One angel, Azil, taught men how to forge swords, knives, and shields, essentially inventing warfare. He taught women the arts of seduction, how to make jewelry, how to use cosmetics. Other angels revealed sorcery, astrology, and the medicinal secrets of roots, knowledge that, according to the text, accelerated humanity's corruption. And while that version of the story is already intense, the newly uncovered page, the missing chapter from the Germa Gospels, takes it even further. The shocking part? The old accounts were only summaries. The new fragment is a complete description. It claims the Watchers' greatest sin was not only that they taught us to forge weapons. Their greatest sin was teaching us to desire to use them. According to this missing chapter, humanity before the Watchers was peaceful, but also unambitious, almost incomplete. The text says, we were shaped to walk with the earth, to live in balance. We had no inner flame, no drive, no fury, no sense of self above the whole. The Watchers saw this simplicity, and rather than simply educate us, they transformed us. The text describes a ritual in which the Watchers opened the minds of early humans. They didn't just offer forbidden knowledge, they implanted something within us, a seed, a reflection of their own inner fire. This seed wasn't merely understanding good and evil, it was desire, hunger, ego, ambition, and the capacity to destroy ourselves. The lost chapter makes one point unmistakably clear. The Watchers didn't just influence our thinking, they rewired it. The Watchers didn't just influence humanity, they altered us, both physically and spiritually. They unlocked a part of the human blueprint that, according to the text, God had intentionally kept sealed. This hidden flaw, a structural weakness in our design, was forced open by them. And through that crack, they poured in their own essence, pride, rebellion, and pure chaos. The giants, the Nephilim, weren't simply the result of their forbidden unions. According to this lost chapter, those giants were only the first attempt, a failed prototype. The true experiment, the real achievement, was what they did to humanity itself. The Watchers didn't just teach us, they rewrote us. They altered the core of human nature. And here's where the story becomes truly unsettling. This missing chapter suggests humanity's darkest impulses. The instincts we assume are simply human nature, aren't entirely ours. Think about that for a moment. Why does our history repeat cycles of conflict? Why do we build magnificent civilizations only to tear them down? Why do we invent beauty and destruction side by side? According to the ancient text, it isn't simply because we're imperfect. It's because something corrupted us long ago. A distortion planted deep within our spiritual framework. The chapter calls this hidden flaw a ticking time bomb buried in the human soul. The terrifying implication is that we're not fully in control. Every burst of rage, every surge of jealousy, every relentless hunger for power, these aren't just emotional weaknesses. They are echoes of the Watcher's own rebellion, resonating inside us. This means, spiritually speaking, humanity is a hybrid species, part divinely designed, part irrevocably corrupted. The text explains it like this: no other creature intentionally sabotages its own survival. A deer doesn't build a factory that poisons its own water supply. A bird doesn't invent a weapon capable of annihilating its entire species. But humans do, and repeatedly. This corruption is described as a ceaseless hunger, an insatiable craving. It's why the wealthy pursue more wealth, why empires endlessly seek more land, why power is never enough. It's a spiritual infection, a fever burning inside us, implanted by the Watchers, and the worst revelation of all. The chapter says this corruption is permanent. It's inherited, passed down through countless generations. It made us rulers of the world, but in the process, cursed us to destroy it, and ourselves. This knowledge is devastating. It suggests humanity's struggle for peace isn't just a moral battle. It's a fight against an alien influence embedded in our very being. A spiritual virus that has lived inside our nature for thousands of years. The real danger, according to the text, isn't a monster descending from the heavens. It's the monster we already carry within. And this ancient writing warns that this flaw has a purpose, a trajectory, and it's guiding us toward a catastrophic end. Which leads to an important question. If this truth is so monumental, why have we never been told? Why was this chapter hidden? Why was the Book of Enoch removed from the Standard Bible? Many people don't realize the Book of Enoch was highly influential in early Christianity. Early theologians quoted it often, and the biblical letter of Jude references it directly. Yet eventually, the book was removed, intentionally hidden and pushed aside. And this brings us to the next mystery: Oak Island. For over 2 centuries, the entire Oak Island legend has leaned on one foundational story, that in 1795, 3 teenage boys noticed a depression in the ground, saw a pulley block in a tree, and began digging. This discovery supposedly led to what became known as the Money Pit. But that story, as it turns out, is unequivocally false. And the discovery on Lot 5 is the final confirmation that everything we thought we knew about the island's origins was built on myth. Here's the part almost no one realizes. Every artifact uncovered on Lot 5, the gun components, the buttons, and now this newly found cluster of 17th century glass and pottery points to the same time period. Everything dates firmly between 1620 and 1680. That's not a minor detail. That's at least a full century before Daniel McGinnis and his friends supposedly stumbled onto the Money Pit in 1795. That one fact alone rewrites the entire Oak Island legend from the ground up. It means the true original depositors weren't the people digging in the late 1700s. The real first depositors were on Lot 5 more than 100 years earlier. In other words, the story doesn't start at the Money Pit. It begins on Lot 5. Now consider what that implies. A well-organized group, possibly the Knights of Malta or a surviving branch of a Templar-connected order, came to this small island in the 1600s. They weren't just camping or taking a brief stopover. They built stone structures. They left a permanent footprint. They lived, worked, guarded, and carried out some kind of long-term mission. This wasn't a quick operation. It was a sustained project that likely lasted years, maybe even decades. And that raises the biggest question of all. What exactly were they doing? This is where the Money Pit comes back into the narrative, but in a completely different context. The artifacts on Lot 5 suggest it was the headquarters, the command center. It was where the group slept, cooked, strategized, and coordinated whatever mission brought them across the Atlantic. And if that's true, then it's entirely possible they were the ones who engineered the money pit. The money pit's intricate design, multiple platforms, flood tunnels, and precise engineering would have required significant time, manpower, and planning. It's not the kind of project a random band of pirates could create in a few days, but a disciplined, well-organized group living on Oak Island with a stone foundation already established. They absolutely could have built it. That's why this new cluster of iron, glass, and pottery is so important. It confirms long-term settlement. It proves Lot 5 wasn't just a pass-through location. It was home base, and this completely shifts the narrative. The money pit isn't the beginning of the mystery. It's the final result of a secret operation that originated on Lot 5. This discovery shatters the old timeline and replaces it with one that's older, deeper, and far more sophisticated. The team isn't chasing pirate treasure anymore. They're uncovering evidence of a large, organized, well-funded 17th century mission, possibly tied to one of history's most powerful secret societies. But if this is true, it leads to one last mind-bending question, one that changes the entire nature of the hunt. Let's look at the confirmed facts. Physical evidence: lead shot, iron fragments, 17th century green glass, coarse earthenware pottery. Contextual evidence: a massive, man-made, circular stone foundation. Symbolic evidence: ornate buttons that may be linked to Templar-related groups. All of it is on Lot 5. All of it predates the money pit. And now, with this new artifact cluster, officially recognized as an archaeological site protected under a special place designation, excavation must proceed slowly and with extreme caution. But here's the astonishing part. This single discovery forces a new question onto the world stage. Lot 5 has officially become the new money pit. But the deeper mystery remains. Was Lot 5 the base of a Templar mission? Or was something even larger unfolding on this island? Share your theories in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe.